So welcome to BISP Solution. The webinar title is Get Started with Oracle Supply Chain and Manufacturing, that is SCM. So move to the next slide, that is day 4. So in the day 4 we will discuss about the rapid implementation sheet and RI sheet, and using that RI sheet we will upload the chart of accounts, right? So, and if the time permits, we will create an employee user also. So let's start with the next slide. Let's move to the next slide. So creating chart of accounts, ledger, legal entity and the business unit in spreadsheet. So if either it represents your enterprise structure in your chart of accounts, ledger, legal entity and business unit, configurations to track and report on financial objectives and meet the reporting requirements. These components provide a underlying structure for organizing the financial information and reporting. The chart of accounts within the ledger facilitates aggregating the data from different operations from within an organization or from different business flows. So consist of definition to or say consist definitions to your stakeholders in the compliance and legislative and corporate reporting standards and aids in management decisions. So rapid implementation is a way to configure the financial enterprise and the financial reporting structure quickly using the spreadsheet in a workbook that upload list of company, that is a legal entity, ledger by country, business unit, chart of accounts and the segment values and hierarchies, financial sequence and required subledger accounts. Once the sheet has been uploaded, the application creates chart of account structure and instance, the segment values, hierarchies, key accounts such as retained earning, required subledger accounts, accounting calendar, primary ledger for each country represent on the legal entity sheet, legal entities and the locations, the business unit, the document and journal sequencing, set financial reporting reports, and 3 account groups. Once you get beginning with your chart of accounts calendar, the ledger make changes to their fundamental attributes in either recommended or not supported. This includes your chart of accounts segment, including the segment labels as well as other characteristics of those segments, and your calendar structure or a pattern. So legal entities, that is company, in a transaction that is identified by the business unit with the business function. The transaction that are recorded in the subledger are transferred to the ledger. The ledger is characterized by a calendar, currency and chart of accounts. A chart of accounts consists of a segment, some of which are assigned at a segment label such as cost center, primary balancing segment. The legal entities can be assigned a primary balancing segment values. The legal entity identifies a recognized party with a right and responsibility given to the legislation, which has the right to own the property and the responsibility to account for itself. The business unit performs one or many business functions that can be rolled up to in a management hierarchy. A business unit can be process transaction on behalf of many legal entities. Usually business unit has a manager, strategic objectives, a level of autonomy and responsibility for its profit and loss. When creating through the spreadsheet, all available business functions are automatically enables for the business unit. So ledger maintains a record and its required component in your configurations. The rapid implementation process creates a primary ledger combining the chart of accounts, calendar, and currency, as well as other required options defined in the rapid implementation workbook. Assigning the standard accrual subledger accounting method to your primary ledger. The subledger accounting method is used to group your subledger journal entries rule set together to define your consisting the accounting treatment. Once a general ledger balancing cubes for each ledger with a unique chart of accounts and calendar combination, each segment is created as a dimension, the balances cube along with the standard cube dimensions. The subledger captures the detail of transactional information such as supplier invoices, customer payments, and the asset acquisitions, using the subledger accounting to transfer the transactional balances to the ledger where they were posted. So chart of accounts configures the account that consists of components such as segments. Account are used to record balances and organize the financial information and record reporting. Segment identify one of the component of a COA, which when combined with the other segment creates an accounting combination for recording the transaction and journal entries. A segment is associated with a value set which provides a set of values for that segment along with that formatting and the validation for those values. So segment label identifies certain segment in a chart of accounts or say COA and assigns special functionality to those segments. That is, say, a balancing segment ensures that all the journals balanced for each balance segment values or combination of multiple balancing segment values for financial process and reports. The three balancing segment labels are there, that is primary balancing segment, secondary balancing segment, and third balancing segment. The natural accounts determines the accounting type, that is asset, liability, expenses, revenue, and the equity. And specific categorization of financial activity facilitates the general ledger to process such as a closing of the income statement accounts to retain earning at the beginning of the new fiscal year. The cost center facilitates groups of the natural account by functioning the cost type, accommodating the tracking of a specific business expenses across the natural account. With rapid implementation book, you can create more than one hierarchy for your chart of account segment. During the initial setup, you can also create additional hierarchies and the hierarchy versions, as well as update the existing hierarchy versions after the initial setup is done by uploading the rapid implementation sheet data. Creating the sequence for legal entity or say ledger based on the predefined country default. The document sequence are created for payable invoices, payments, receivables, invoices, receivable credits, memos, and receivables adjustment activities, reporting and accounting journal sequences are created for subledger journals and general ledger journals. So let's move to the next slide. Now, how the chart of accounts, a ledger, legal entity, and the business unit are created using the chart, your spreadsheet. So in this picture, you can see that a rapid implementation process is set up by the enterprise structure, includes several steps. Download the rapid implementation from the general ledger workbook, enter the data into the sheet, verify the enter data and resolve any error. Upload the chart of accounts file. After successful uploading of the chart of account file, upload the general ledger legal entity and the business unit file with the rest of the configurations. So rapid implementation. Enterprise structure configuration is meant to be used as a one-time initializations. To the extent that you want to make a certain allow modification to the configurations, you generally have make those changes directly in the application after initial load of the ledger, the legal entity and the business unit file. The fundamental accounting configurations framework is only created once and is permanently set. This framework includes the ledger and its assigned chart of accounts, calendar, currency, assignments, and the associated definition of those components. So let's move to the application now. I'm logging with one of the user which got application implementation consultant role. From navigator, go to the my enterprise, go to the my enterprise, go to the setup and maintenance. So you can search from global search page, search with the name rapid implementation. So define the common financial configuration for rapid implementation. Select that. So this is the task list. Under that you can see the create chart of accounts, ledger, legal entity and the business unit in spreadsheet. Select this one, download this particular sheet. So let me download this one. Let me go to this, say, desktop file. So that is a rapid implementation. I would say this is the SCM. I will save out here. So let me select and open this particular folder. Just enable that. So you can download so if you see out here, the workbook includes the following sheet, that is instruction, chart of account, calendar and the ledger, the business unit, the company and the legal entities, the natural account and the financial sequences. So new sheet is entered in the segment values. So enter the new sheet segment value. If you see out here, so this is the instruction out here, the new sheet entered in the segment values, hierarchy, additional segments. So you can add additional segments. You can see out here the segments. So additional hierarchy, you can generate additional hierarchy out here and additional hierarchy. So if you see out here the additional segments, add additional segment sheet out here. So the first sheet is instruction instruction sheet, where review the instruction sheet is important information about how to use the workbook and submit the accounting configuration. The sheet includes data preparation required, setup object concept, best practice and recommendations. Instruction also so it is also instruction is also related to your to how to create an additional hierarchy and hierarchy version. It completes workbook with the sample data, so you can see the sample data out here, which you can utilize to familiarizing yourself with how to enter the data and preview the sample report and generate the required uploading file. So let's open this particular sample report out here. So double click that. So just me yeah. So this is the sample report you can see. So let's move to this particular one, that is a chart of accounts, calendar and the ledger. So entering the data is to create the chart of accounts, calendar and the ledger. Once you begin your chart of accounts, calendar and ledger, make the changes to their fundamental attributes is either recommended or not supported. This includes your chart of account segment, including the segment labels as well as other characteristics of those segments, and your calendar structure or say pattern. So enter the name of your primary ledger. So that is your primary ledger, you will enter the name, and a primary ledger is created for each unique country that requires the company and the legal entity sheet. If you go to this country wise, your ledger will be created based on your legal entities. The country code appended to the name that you specify. For the example, one legal entity based in the USA, United States, and another in the Canada. If you entered the name of, that is, you can see in Infusion ledger, the two ledger are automatically created. So if you see, the two ledger will automatically created. If you see out here that it will create a one Canada based on the Canadian and one is based on the US, right? So the two ledger will be get created. So all the primary ledgers are created using the same chart of accounts, hierarchy and the accounting calendar. The legal entities and their primary balancing segment values are assigned to the primary ledger at their respective countries. If the address provided for the legal entities on the company and the legal entity sheet are all in the same country, then one primary ledger is created. So currency, if you see the currency out here, if you were not entering the legal entities, and only the single ledger should be only the single ledger would be created by the rapid implementation configuration. Entering the ledger currency in which you want to maintain the accounting for that ledger. If you were entering the legal entity, leave this field as blank. The currency is automatically supplied based on the country. The period frequency, if you see the period frequency, select amongst the list of available frequency for the ledger calendar. So if you see out here, there are monthly 445, 545, 4 week and 544. So we will select it as a monthly. So for the accounting calendar, creating using the rapid implementation structure solution, the source for pattern are limited to the period frequency, and adjusting period option are available for selected. So adjusting period, if you see the available out here and select the rapid implement, it is possible to make alteration in the pattern specific into the fiscal year starting date once the calendar are ready are created. The accounting period of the calendar are automatically named using the present format. If you want to change this period name, you have to limited window of time to make those changes. Using the manage accounting calendar page in the application, you can make the changes before the accounting calendar is actively, such as when one of its accounting period has been set to status as open. Adjusting period, select the number of the period used to the segregate the closing, auditing, or other adjustment in the ledger. The entity the entries are tracked in the adjusting period, not in your monthly activity. The fiscal year, the fiscal year start date, enter the start date of your accounting calendar. The date can't be changed after the submission of the configuration. Say if you plan to run a translation, enter the fiscal year start date for the entire accounting that before the first period for which you are intend to run the translation. You are running the If you can't run the translation in the first definite period of the accounting calendar, for example, if your fiscal year starts on January 1st and you want to start your translation for period March 24, then you should select the fiscal year starting date for the January, that is 23, right? So also you determine the fiscal starting date. You might have to consider whether you plan to load the history. The segment, going to the segment, enter the name of your segment and the value set are created from the segment. And the segment labels, are assigned to have a special functionality to the segment. The segment label specify the segment purpose, such as a balancing, cost center, natural account, can only be assigned once the chart of accounts segment, the balancing, that is primary balancing segment, and the natural account label must be assigned, while other segment labels are optional. The segment that are assigned, these are two particular label, cannot be assigned to any other label. However, the segments that are assigned that other remain labels can also be assigned additional labels, providing they were not primary balancing segment or natural account label segment. The intercompany segment label assignment is optional. If assigned, intercompany sheet automatically added to the workbook. When you select the add segment sheet button, use this sheet to enter your intercompany values and hierarchies. Add When you upload the chart of account file, the application creates a new value set for the intercompany segment with the values that you entered. If you want to assign the intercompany segment the same values as primary balancing segment, copies all the parent and child values from the company and the legal entity sheet to the intercompany sheet. If you enable the segment value security on the primary balancing segment value set, the security enforcement won't conflict with the intercompany segment because the value set for the two segments will be different. The same holds true if you enable the segment value security on the intercompany value security. The security enforcement won't conflict with the primary balancing segment. If you plan to use the related value set, created relationship between the segments that involves your primary balancing segment and the intercompany segment, there won't be conflict of a value because the value set are different. If you want to assign the intercompany segment with the same value set as the primary balancing segment, you You can change the values of the assignment from the manage chart of accounts configuration page after you upload the chart of accounts configuration and before you upload the financial structure or for the chart of accounts. If you decide to go with the same value set for the both segment, you won't able to change the value set associated later once the ledger is assigned to the chart of accounts. For the posting process of the applied intercompany balancing, you must select the enable intercompany accounting option for specific ledger option page. The short prompt, if you see the short prompt, enter the short name for the segment which is used on the application page and display with enter the segment size, selected size carefully and leave the room for the growth. For the example, if you want to have 89 as a cost center, then enter 3 for the display length to allow the more than 100 cost centers in the future. Add segment sheet, so select the add segment sheet. So add segment sheet, select this button to select the sheet. Additional segment and segments will be provided only on the company and the natural account segment. For the new segment sheet, you can click the generate additional hierarchy. So when you select this additional sheet, that it will create an additional sheet out here. A worksheet is then automatically created and populated with the data. Entering for the data segment, change the data is required for the new hierarchy. You can create additional hierarchy during the initial setup and after the initial setup is done. So you can see out here the LOB additional hierarchies you can create. So you can change the chart of account calendar or currency for your ledger after setup is created. You can't change the chart of account, accounting calendar or currency for your ledger after the setup is created. So next is the business unit. So enter the name of your business unit and relate default legal entities. The following figures shows an example for the business unit with the sample values. For your name and default legal entity name is defined. The business unit is created with the name that you have entered. You can enter the more than one business unit per ledger based on the default legal entity specified for the business unit in the business unit sheet. The business unit is assigned the primary ledger to which the default legal entity is assigned. So moving to the company and the legal entity, so enter the parent and child values for your company segment, which is segment that assign the primary balancing segment label on the chart of account, calendar and ledger sheet. You can create up to 9 level of parents. So you can see the 9 level of parents you can create. Yeah, so 9 level of parents value to roll up with your company to meet the corporate and the local reporting requirements. Enter your legal entities for your child values with the address and registration number and the reporting registration number that identifies the legal entity registered for your company and recognized by the law which you want to record the performing the task and reporting unit. Registration number identify the lowest level of the component of a legal structure that requires registration. The following following you can see the part of a company and the legal entity sheet as a sample values, right? So you can see that. So the sheet includes the column of a different level: parent values, the child values, the company values. Description out here, the legal entity columns include the name, identifier, country, registration, that is your address information, and registration number. So these are the registration number. To create additional hierarchies for the company segment reporting and other purposes, click the generate additional. So you can go to the generate additional hierarchy. So additional hierarchy button, worksheet is automatically created and populated with the data already entered for that segment. Change this data as required for new hierarchy. You can create an additional hierarchy during the initial setup, and after the initial setup is done, when the new hierarchy sheet is created, the name for the sheet is delivered by adding the counter to the sheet name. For example, when you click the generate additional hierarchy on the company entity, the new sheet name, company legal entity, and the legal entity 1 will be created. So it is okay. So micros is there that you have to enable, then only it will show. So additional entity will be here. If you click the additional hierarchy, again the generate with the name of company and the legal entity 2 will be created. Additional legal entity information isn't supportive on the new hierarchy sheet for company segment. So moving to the next sheet, that is natural account. So you can see, you can enter the accounting hierarchies, that is account values and the specific account types. You can enter the parent account values to define the hierarchies. The hierarchies are used for chart of accounts, mapping revaluation, data access set, cross validation rules, segment values, segment rules, security rules, segment security rules, the balance cubes, and the accounting hierarchies are also used for financial reporting, smart view, queries, and allocation. The child entered child accounting values to define the postable accounts. So that is a description. You can see out here, these are the child values. So as the description, so description, enter the description for the segment values, the account type. So that you must assign the account type to the each account values, the account type used in the year end process, and to collect the categorized account balance sheet reporting. Select from your general ledger account type, expand the account type, that is you can see out here the asset. You can see the asset out here, the liability, owner's equity, revenue, expenses. And expanding the account type provides you specialized functional that is used to identify the intended usage of the natural account values to facilitate the automation and enable the completion of other required setups object. For example, assigning the asset to intercompany receivables and the liability intercompany payables. Expand the company type. The rapid implementation process then automatically creates the chart of accounts level, the intercompany balancing rule, which is required setup for the application to perform the intercompany balancing. So automatically generates a fully defined initiate financial reporting and the accounting group based on your enterprise structure. So example, expanding the account types, you can see the account receivables. Let's see the account receivables. So you can see out here the account receivables for receivable receipt method, and the liability, that is accounts payable. If I go to the accounts payable, if I go to the liability out here, so you can see the accounts payable for your accounts for payable common options and owner's equity. Now if we go to the slide little bit down, so there it is, the owner's equity. So that is retained earning for ledger, your ledger option, and the revenue top, that is parent account for the sample, the report on accounting group. So that is your revenue, that is your top revenue parent account is there, and you must assign the revenue top revenue parent account, and the expenses top operating expenses account. Let me go to this. Here we are. So top cost for the sales of the parent account. So that is that are the highest level, that comprehensive revenue and the operational expenses accounts. You can optionally assign the account type and the expenses, that is cost sales parent account. It is applicable for your scenarios, right? So that kind of a scenario can provide. Generating the financial reporting and the accounting group process, which automatically submits when accounting configurations are created in the application. Generating the set of financial reports and the accounting group according to the accounting configuration defined in the workbook. The top parent accounts are used as a basis for deriving the accounts references in the report. In the accounting group, the immediate descendants of the top parent account are used to define the row on the report, depending upon whether both the top operating expenses and the top cost of sale account are tagged. Different variations of the income statement are generated if the optional of top cost of the sales account is provided. The financial reporting reports that are income statement are also includes the gross margin section. Assign the accounting type carefully. If you assigning an incorrect account type to the natural account segment values, the account entries are recorded incorrectly and the financial statement are incorrect. Misclassified accounts are also potentially handled incorrectly at the year end, with the actual balances either getting zeroed out or to the retained earning or accumulated into the next year. The financial category, select the value to the, if you see, this is the financial category. So this is the financial category. To select the value to identify for the account for the reporting and Oracle transaction business intelligence, you can add financial category to the parent values, and the accounting are tagged with the expanded account type are automatically assigned to the financial category. You can override the default category or leave it out. The list of the accepted value is defined in the financial underscore category lookup type. Generating the additional hierarchy. To create the additional hierarchy for the natural account, for the natural account segment, for reporting or for other purposes, click the generate additional hierarchy button. The worksheet automatically creates a populate with data already entered for the segment. The changes this data as required. for the new hierarchy. You can create additional hierarchy during the initial setup after the initial setup is done. Now move to the next, that is a financial sequence. If you see, this is the financial sequence. So you can see out here, you can enable the documents and journal sequence to assign the unique number to the transaction to meet the legal requirement. So that is you can provide that as a monthly basis. So you can change that, say that is annual. So that is, again, it's an annual out here. So you can use the annual out here, and say that is a monthly. And subledger journal is never, or you can put the initial values. So you can put the initial values 1 and say that is starting with the 100. So that kind of a sequence you can provide. The document sequence are created these transactions, that is payable invoices, payment receivable invoices. You have a receivable credit memos, receivable adjustment activities, your reporting, and the accounting journal sequences are created for the subledger journals and general ledger journals. For each transaction you can provide the values for the following fields. You can so let's I have got a one sample data with me, so then we can view that and we can process that particular sheet. Okay, so let's navigate to that. So let me have this particular sheet. So I have already created a once. So you can see that is this is the instruction, this is the calendar, that is ABC group. The name as given as a ABC group, and it will create a two ledger that is based on your legal entity. That is, you got a US legal entity country wise, that is one in the Canada. The two ledger will be created, and you can see the period. I have not provided any currency. It will take currency from your legal entity based, right? So that is the thing. And after that, you period of frequency, that is a monthly I selected, and the once in the year, that is the adjusting period. And my first fiscal year, that is 1st of January, that is in the format of mm/dd or /yyyy. So that is this format, and I have created a segment, that is a company, department, accounts, LOB, product, intercompany, and future one. So I have provided the segment label, that is a primary balancing segment label, the cost center segment label, natural account segment label, and this is the secondary balancing segment to this particular line of business. And I have provided this intercompany with the intercompany segment. And I provided the short prompt out here, that is company with the company, and the cost center, this is the cost center, and that is the department, and it's this is the accounts with the AC, and you got a line of business and your product, and with the intercompany and the future, and the display width. So display width I have taken with the 3, with the company, with the department also, and the account I have taken with the 5. And if I say the line of business, so line of business will be, or say a 2, and the product is with the 4, and the intercompany with the 3, and the future segment with the 4. So going to the next slide, that is a business unit. So I have created a 2 business unit with the 2 legal entity, that is in United States, attached to that particular legal entity. So that is ABC US BU 01 and ABC US BU 02, and with the legal entity, with the different 2 legal entity, that is ABC Holding US legal entity 1, and this is the US legal entity 02, and this is ABC CAD business unit 1 and business unit 2. So as the holding company of the CAD legal entity attached to that particular business unit. So this is the business unit, and if I go to the company legal entity, out here you can see the ABC group, total ABC group, and the corporate out here. So you can see the parent 4, where the all the group totals will be there, that is a parent 4, and the parent 3, where you got the reporting done at the corporate level, and this is your headquarters, right? So all the values of this child values will be rolled up to this parent 1 value, and it will roll up to parent 2 values, and the parent 2 values it will roll up to parent 3, and so on with the parent, that is parent 4, where the total group will be there. And out here we can see that particular one. So this is your US retail, that is ABC US retail and ABC US warehouse, and you can see this is the my legal entity which is mentioned out here. If you see, this is the legal entity, and you can see with this legal entity, right? So we have mentioned that particular legal entity. Same thing out with the legal entity 2, so you can see the legal entity 2, and similar with the CAD retail and the CAD warehouse, that is Canadian warehouse. So Canadian operation will be the parent is a Canadian, so whatever the transaction related to this child group will be rolled up to this particular Canadian operation group. And you can see this is the legal entity name, so is the identifier, so that is the country out here, the we provide the country, and the address is out here, the city, state, county, and the postal address. So you can see the registration number, so as the reporting unit with the registration number and reporting unit registration number, right? So that you have provided, so as it will create your two ledgers based on your legal entity, that is one for United States and one for Canada, and it has two business unit with the different legal entity attached to one ledger with this US ledger, that is ABC group US ledger, right? So that is a one, and then we got another ledger, that is two legal entity attached to this business unit attached to the individual legal entity, and that legal entity, two legal entities attached to the one primary ledger, that is ABC CAD ledger, right? So it will create that. And if I go to this particular segment, so if you see, this is the segment, so that is the department. If you see that department, so these are the department, that is total cost center department is there, and there is a hierarchy, right? So that is hierarchy parent 1, and all the the total these parents will roll up to this parent 2, right? So these are the child values, these are the child values. So if I go to this natural account, so you can see the natural account out here. So up to the that parent 7, that we have used the parent 7 with the total out here, and the total asset, it will be total of a group total, right? So that will be a total group total, and you can see this is the asset out here, that is asset is the group has been created, all assets you can view from this, and cash and short-term investment you can view from here. So as the child values, these are the child values which will roll up to this particular parent 5, right? So account receivables will, all the receivables will roll up to this one. This is the child values, right? So account receivable, so you can see this is the other receivables, right? So this is the total other receivables, and you can see interest, these are the, and we have provided these asset out here, right? So account type, these are the account type, and the financial category, we have provided the cash with the financial category out here for, see, that is a cash deposit in the bank, another bank equivalent to that. So this is the receivables, you can see the receivables we have provided, and the return earning. If I see this one and the return earning, let me go to the return earning. So you can see the liability, that is accounts payable, right? So account type is liability as accounts payable, and the financial category I have defined as accounts payable out here for reporting and reconciliation purposes. So go to the owner's equity. Yeah, so you can see this return earning account is here. This is the child value that we will use related to your return earning. So that is owner's equity return earning, and we have provided the financial category as a return earning to that. So this is the top parent revenue, that is a sales revenue, right? So we provided the top parent of the revenue, and if you see, this is the top expenses. So this is the parent revenue out here. So that is the cost of material. So the other operating expenses as a financial category. Now moving to the LOB, that is a line of business. You can see these are the line of business, and if you see the product out here, so you can see the product with the child values, which will roll up to this particular parent out here. So parent 1, all the values of this particular child values will be rolled up to this, and these total parent value will be rolled up to this particular parent 2 values. So moving to the intercompany, so you can see this is the 4. So if you see, yeah, if I go to this, so parent 4 out here, right? If you go to this particular one, so you can see this is the parent 4, right? So that is parent 4. The intercompany segment will be created. So in the future one, has selected the future one out here with the I am capturing with the none value, right? And the financial sequencing, the financial sequencing I provided, that is annually, and all are annually. So that will be annually one, that is monthly out here. So it will be monthly, and this will be the annually, the starting date, right? So let's go to validate this one. So after completing the worksheet, process with the validation and the sample report preview, and you can upload that file. So let's go to this particular validation step out here. So let's validate that. So you can see the validation is successful, no error found. Do you want to preview the sample report? So if you want to review the sample report, so yes, you can do so. So yes, let me preview the report. So you can see the preview incorporate elements, that setups that provides the row of report that derive based on the top parent revenue, that is based on the top parent revenue, and the expenses account value that tags on the natural account sheet. The preview also reflect the reporting hierarchies for the natural account. For you can see this particular report out here, this is the sample report. So if you see out here, this is the revenue, top revenue out here, right? So that is how you're going to view the report in the in the application, right? So this chance make you correct before actually creating the hierarchy in the application. You can modify the enterprise structure setup, validation spreadsheet, and preview the revised report. You can do the revision and you can check it down. If there is any error, you can correct it down. So next step is to, after validating, so go to this one, yeah. So second step is to generate the chart of account file. So you will generate a chart of account file, and you have a zip, it will be in a zip folder. You can download that one in your local hard disk, and you will, or say in the network, you can download that zip file, and you will later upload this particular first generate accounting chart of account file. First you will upload this one, then you will generate the ledger legal entity business unit, you will upload this one, right? So that is the third step. So with this particular generation, the generating the this particular BU file, and you will save to your local disk. So let's upload this particular file in the application now. So let's generate first. So let's generate. So it is zip file has been generated. Let me go to this particular one. Stop. Go to the SCM RI sheet. So I will put down this in this particular folder, that is RI sheet in this folder. Say copy, save this. One file has been generated. Select the next file. So this file has already been generated, the zip file, and save in the same folder. The two file has been generated. Let's upload this file into the instance. So from here, upload the chart of account file. Select that. Select the browse file first. RI sheet. Select the chart of account file. Select that. Submit that process. Let's refresh that. So let's refresh. It will take 3 to 4 minutes to complete to be succeeded. If any errors, we have to review that. The status should be succeeded one. If you go to the hierarchy, if you see the hierarchy out here, it is running right now. So let's refresh that. I go to the hierarchy again. So after uploading this one, then we have to upload another file, that is your that second file, that is your it will generate that is your ledger, legal entity, and the business unit. Let us go to the instance out here. So it is running. So it succeeded. So you can see the hierarchy has been created. If you go to this particular, you can download the log file out here. So this is the log file. If you see the log file out here, let's save this one. Let me view this log file out here. So this is the log file. So every process has been succeeded, right? The value set processed successfully. So is the accounting. The object has been created. So let us upload the second sheet. Let us upload the second sheet now. Sit done. Upload the legal entity and the business unit. Ledger, legal entity and business unit. It will create the rest of the setups. So that is a financial common entities. Select that zip file and submit that. Let's refresh that. So it will be 10 to 15 minutes to, it will take time. So it will be running. It is running. It will generate the following reports. As a financial report, it will generate for each ledger, that is income statement, consolidated income statement, roll up quarterly income statement, roll up monthly income statement, trial balances by ledger currency, trial balances by entered currency, right? So the process also generates the 3 accounts group, that includes 2 for the infolet revenue and expenses, as we have seen in the rapid implementation sheet. If you see in the rapid implementation sheet, if you go to the valid out here, so the 2 infolets will be generated. This is the infolet it will generate. So that is a revenue and expenses, one in the close monitor after closing the monitor summary income statement. As a set of these 3 accounting groups generated, the balancing cubes to be shared amongst all the ledgers are the part of the balancing cubes. So it will take time. So you can see the roll up period, roll up quarterly income it will generate. So that will be you can see a income statement, that is it will generate ledger wise, that is we generate will be a 2 ledger, that is a one ABC group US and another one ABC group CAD, that will be generated with the income statement, both having a different income statement and the consolidated income statement. And there will be a roll up quarterly income statement, roll up quarterly income statement for both the thing, and monthly statement, that is a one quarterly and one in the monthly, the trial balance by the ledger currency and trial balance by the entered currency. So let us view. So it is running. So it will take time. So some issues are there, so that is error out here, we have to check with this. So let the process complete, then only we can check it out.
Known for the daily hybrid BSO. So 2 BSO cubes and 2 ASO cubes. 2 reporting cubes we have, that is OCF REP, and OEP, RCSH. So before initiating work on this application, we must aware with these cubes, like from where we need to load data, right? And everything we need to first know about these things, right? Now let's move ahead. Here we have different forecast methods available. That is manual. You can do here manual forecasting, then trend based forecasting,